myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Refuse, mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running toes, they gon' take them. Used to lose, built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win, yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Applied myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Refuse.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back with another episode. And as you can see, this episode, I got my record this time. Shout out my boy Joe. Like I told y'all last time, it wasn't Joe. It was my fault. I didn't send him the record. I forgot. I sent him the record this morning. He got it done for me. So shout out to Joe again for the work he does with not only my show, but the network. Now, as you can see from the title, we're going to recap week 2. Like I said, it's now rebranded as This Week in College Football. So This Week in College Football Week 2 edition. I can't wait to talk about it. We had some upsets called on CCT. We got a little cute on one upset and then turned into a blowout. But we had another great week of college football. And we had some upsets and some games we didn't talk about that ended up being great games. So can't wait to talk about those. But before we do so, I'd like to ask that you like, comment, share, subscribe. It helps the channel. It helps the network. It helps my channel, CTC, by way of the Refuse to Lose Network. Now, like I said, this is a network, so we do have more shows. We have the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave every Tuesday and Friday, 7 o'clock Eastern to about 8:30-ish. We have Unfazed every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. So make sure y'all tune into them. It's featuring Joe and AJ back in the NFL swing of things. They do have a pick 'em at the end of the show, so tune into that. Maybe you can get some pick'ems from them. They had a really great record last year, and I mean phenomenal record. So maybe you can win some money off their pick'ems and just salute them and shout them out if you want to. Next, we have BWT, Baseball with Teddy. The playoffs are almost here. They're around the corner. Tune in to Teddy to get his thoughts on the playoff push and awards and stuff like that. I mean, he dropped videos about it. Next, we have FFC, Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs. Today and tomorrow will be the end of the first week of fantasy football. Then in comes the waiver wire. So make sure you tune in to Coach to get some waiver wire tips, fantasy football advice, things like that. We have Dave's Doghouse highlights and lowlights of sport. Make sure y'all stay tuned into that. We have Real Ballers Only, RBO. Vaughn was on the AFC North panel with me. He did say episodes will be coming out this month closer to training camp. So y'all be on the lookout for those. We have In the Red Corner featuring Ty, Ricky, and Tomo. Boxing episodes. I'm not sure if they're dropping one tonight because Ty is a Ravens fan, and we do play at 8:20 Sunday Night Football against the Bills, and they normally drop Sundays at 7 o'clock. So I'm not sure if they'll be dropping one today, but just be on the lookout. All boxing through In the Red Corner. And that's all the episodes. I mean, that's all the shows we have so off on the network. So please like, comment, share, subscribe to those shows as well. And if you like what you're listening to, stick with us. Now, as it's been reformatted on my recaps of This Week in College Football Week 2, we first start off with upsets for the Week 2 regular season. And boy, did we have a couple. We're going to start with our first upset. Baylor 48, 17th ranked SMU 45 in double overtime. Now, Baylor scored 14 unanswered points in the last 5 minutes and 30 seconds to tie the game to send it into overtime. Now, SMU got the ball with about 30, 40 seconds left. They got the ball actually in good field position due to like a swift kick. But they could not get the game-winning field goals. Colin Rogers missed the game-winning field goal as time expired, sending it to OT. Now, there was a big play. There was a targeting call at one point on Baylor, which I didn't think was targeting. I thought more so was like unnecessary roughness because Kevin Jennings went for a slide and he kind of got hit late. but they didn't call it unnecessary roughness. They called targeting. The evidence showed no targeting, so they did not get the 15 yards, which would have probably set them up for a field goal to win it. Then they ran the ball after that, which was strange to me. Didn't get many yards, kicked the field goal, didn't hit it. Both teams scored in the first overtime. Both teams scored a touchdown. The second overtime, SMU kicked the field goal, having the ball first, and Colin Rogers yet again missing his third kick of the game, and Baylor won off a field goal, basically almost an extra point field goal, and that's how they came back to beat SMU. It was a big win for David Randa and the Baylor Bears. Baylor actually did the polar opposite of what I thought they would do in the preseason. Thought they would beat Auburn and lose to SMU. They lost to Auburn, beat SMU, but it was a great game nonetheless. SMU just can't get off the field on third downs at the end of the game. I remember one drive, well, I think it was the first touchdown drive. SMU got him to a 3rd and 10, and they ran the ball with Bryson Washington off the right side, and he got the first down on the ground. And it was an easy hole, and then I think that's when Kobe Bryant scored up the middle on the 21-yard touchdown catch. Sawyer Robertson had a great game, very accurate, over 400 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, no turnovers. Josh Coleman, who came alive in the second half against Auburn, just had a phenomenal game in general this game. This last game, so last week was Cole Wilson and Michael Trigg. This game was Jonah Coleman and Ashton Hawkins. So shout out to the Baylor Bears. If you're SMU, you're very disappointed, but it's not an ACC loss, and you can bounce back from this. This kind of reminds me a little, not in similar situations, but they lost to BYU in week 2 last year. Now, granted, that I want to say that one was at home too. They lost to BYU week 2, bounced back, made it to the ACC championship game. So I think they could bounce back, right? Lashley, while disappointed, doesn't have to hold his head. But we move on to the next upset, and that's the USF South Florida Bulls. Man, I told y'all in the beginning of the season to look out for the South Florida Bulls. They are a really good American Conference team. They were one of my 10 Group of 5 schools to look out for. Now, granted, I didn't think they would pull off this upset, but I knew they would be a good team. I knew they could battle in this game, and they upset the Florida Gators 18-16. Shout out to Baby Grammatica, as I call him. He had 6 field goals. I think he went 6 or 7. 6 field goals to beat the Florida Gators, and shout out to the Southern Florida Bulls defense. Just played a really good game, holding Florida to 1 touchdown in the second half. Florida lost the turnover battle 1-0. So again, the Bulls creating turnovers. Like I said, they are a good team. They are a team that has been known to create turnovers. They might not be the best defense, but they do create turnovers. Florida, Brendan Bett, man, 2 big penalties. First, it was a pass interference on 2nd down, would have been 3rd down. They gave the Bulls the 1st down. Then the next play, Brendan Bett spit on somebody. Another unnecessary roughness. Ejected, obviously, for spitting on someone. And that was a free 15. And that was huge. Byron Brown and the Bulls drive down the rest of the way to kick a field goal with time expiring to win that game. Florida was 4 of 12 on 3rd downs. Again, shout out to South Florida Bulls defense. They were 33% on 3rd down. So South Florida showing you like Boise State wasn't no fluke. Us holding those running backs to the yardage that they did. Sire Gaines and not Elijah Gilliam. He's at Fresno State. Malik Sherrod. That wasn't no fluke. They did a great job defensively against Florida yesterday. And they came out with the upset in the swamp. Possibly will be ranked. This is their 2nd ranked win in a row in 2 games they played. They beat 25th ranked Boise State, who's now unranked, but ranked at the time. And now Florida, who was ranked 13th at the time. These should jump into the top 25. I think it might be a little premature, but 2 ranked wins, I can't argue it. I really can't. But it's also South Florida, and I seen in basketball, college basketball, them going to win like 13, 14 straight, and they got in off like the last win, then lost and got immediately put out the top 25. If y'all remember, that was like two years ago with Chris Youngblood and Keyshawn Pryor and Selton Miguel, and that was a tough South Florida team. But it's South Florida, and they don't get the respect that they deserve. I think they should be ranked because if any other Power 4 school would have did this, they would be ranked. But who knows? We'll see at about 1 o'clock today. Next, we'll move on to Arizona State getting upset by Jeff Lebby and the Mississippi State Bulldogs. I will say this. I did not see this coming. I thought this would be another terrible year for Mississippi State. Thought Jeff Lebby might be on a hot seat, and Jeff Lebby said, hold on now. slow your roll. We 2-0, Carl. We got a Power 4 win that's not in the SEC, but still a Power 4 win against a team that won the. And I can say this because they brought back a lot of players against a team that won the Big 12 last year. They brought back a lot. They lost Cam Scatterbo, yes, but they still brought back a ton of players. So this is essentially the same team minus just Cam Scatterbo. But one player does not make the team. And I say that because they had Cam Scatterbo 2 years ago when they were terrible. So this is a great win for Mississippi State. And it all started with that first half. The first half, they basically pitched a shutout. The only reason why Arizona State got the field goal at the end of the half is because just of a boneheaded mistake of a roughing the passer on a Hail Mary who put Arizona State in field goal range and they knocked down the field goal. If it wasn't for that, Arizona State would have been scoreless throughout the first half. And Mississippi State was just moving the ball, scoring. They had 2 touchdowns and a field goal. But Arizona State defense stepped up in a huge way for the majority of the second half, pitching a shutout till the last drive on a busted coverage where Brennan Thompson caught, I want to say it was like a wheel route. I want to say, yeah, he caught a wheel because I think it was like a post-wheel combo. And the cornerbacks didn't know if they were going to switch. Like if they didn't know if they was going to switch if they did this or they were just going to stay locked on. Busted coverage. Brennan Thompson, the speedster, wide open. You're not going to catch him in open field. And it led to the touchdown. Sam Levitt throws a pick right after that. Just a big game for the Mississippi State Bulldogs to go 2-0. Looking like the Egg Bowl is going to be really exciting. The Egg Bowl might sway some different way this year. Who knows? Arizona State, man. Like I said, great defense in the second half minus just that one error. But all it takes is one mistake. When you're playing from behind, it just takes one mistake, man. And it's unfortunate a busted coverage blew in the game. But like I said, man, great win for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. And I'm interested to see how this poll look, man. I really am. Another upset, and it's the last upset. Now, technically, in my opinion, this isn't an upset, but numerically, it's an upset. So I'm going to just throw it in an upset category. 18th ranked Oklahoma at home beats the 15th ranked Michigan Wolverines 24-13. Boomer Sooner. Yeah, I gotta get one of those in. I know it's my show. I'll be on, but I gotta throw one in though. I gotta throw a jab. Come on, man. I wouldn't be a Michigan State fan if I didn't, but I gotta throw a little jab. Oklahoma defense played phenomenal. Bryce Underwood started off 4 for 5, and then at the next 17 passes, he went 3 or 14. Just played phenomenal. We're sending blitzes at the young freshman, and I knew it. This is why I picked Oklahoma to win because I knew Bryce Underwood is young. It's not like Michigan was coming off a bunch of receiver talent. It's not like last year. Let me rephrase that. Last year, they couldn't even throw the ball for real. They were just running with Khalil Mullins. So I figured the passing situation this year, although Bryce Underwood is supposed to be this immense talent, which I'm not saying he is or he isn't. To me, it's just to be determined, just like Arch. But I figured he wasn't going to be in the greatest of situations. And to have a freshman step into a situation that's not so great is not great for him. So the Oklahoma Sooners defense was also very talented, did a great job on Michigan. Like, to be honest, Michigan never sustained a drive. Their one touchdown they had was a 75-yard touchdown run by Justice Haynes, which, I mean, he's eventually going to break one. They did a great job against him too, but he's eventually going to break one, and you'll live with that. Oklahoma shut out Michigan in the first half. It was 14-0 at halftime. They used 2 touchdowns early. They scored 2 touchdowns early. Oh, no, excuse me. Michigan used 2 timeouts earlier in the second half, which came back and bit them in the behind in the second later in the game because Oklahoma was able to kill so much clock because Michigan used their timeouts and kick a field goal to go up 2 scores. Then on 4th down, Michigan tried to run the ball to get a first down, stop the clock, and then I guess either spike it or take a deep shot. But Oklahoma blew that up, and they won the game. Ultimately, Oklahoma's defense just had a great day against this Michigan offense. John Mateer had a pretty good day. I mean, besides the one interception where he overthrew, I want to say he overthrew the tight end. I'm not sure. I can't remember who he was throwing the ball to. But somebody was open in the middle field. He just overthrew him, and TJ Metcalf was there for the interception. Besides that, though, he had a great day as well. 2 touchdowns on the ground. And then Deion Burks had a day as well. Just shout out to the Oklahoma Sooners getting taking care of business at home, improving to 2-0. And Michigan will have a bounce back game next week. I forgot against New Mexico. They already played New Mexico. I forgot who they played. Oh, Central Michigan. They play Central Michigan next week. But that is it for our upsets. We move on to notable games. And the first game I want to talk about is Friday night. James Madison 14, Louisville 28. Excuse me. That was a great game. That was a phenomenal game. JMU came out inspired, was shutting down Isaac Brown, was shutting down Louisville's offense. Miller Moss couldn't do anything. The O-line had troubles protecting Miller Moss. They kept flushing him out the pocket, and that's not really his strong suit. He wants to stay in the pocket, stay in the spots, and find open guys, complete passes. They did a great job on short down situations. They did a great job on fourth down, turnover on downs on another short situation. JMU came out inspired, and they were actually up at halftime 7-6, just playing inspirational ball. Then they go up 14-6 in the third, scoring another touchdown, but that was where the scoring ends, and Louisville finally figured it out, scoring 22 unanswered, including a long Isaac Brown run, just like Justice Haynes. He's going to break run. He's going to break one. That's just the type of back he is. Isaac Brown, phenomenal back. He's tough to contain for 4 quarters, not having a big run. He broke one late to make it a 2-score game. They got the 2-point conversion, and JMU just could not find the end zone again. It seemed like they figured out the whole Matt Saluka and Alonzo Barnett, the switching the quarterbacks, stuff like that. They were bringing Saluka for like run situations, heavy runs, because he's an athlete. Barnett's an athlete too, but I think Saluka is more like the powerful runner. So they would bring him in for that. But JMU, like I said, first half, they forced a fumble and they forced a turnover on downs. But in the second half, they didn't have any turnovers. Louisville scored 3 touchdowns in the second half as opposed to 2 field goals in the first half. And they were able to find a way to avoid being upset at home and win 28-14. The next game I want to talk about is the Cyhawk game. Iowa loses to 16th ranked Iowa State on the road, 16-13. Like I said, making the second straight year Iowa State wins the Cyhawk game. They won last year in Iowa, coming back this year at home. And now Iowa, they scored 1 touchdown just like Iowa State. Now Iowa State's touchdown was set up by a great play by Jeremiah Cooper. That boy good. Jeremiah Cooper had a almost pick 6, leading to the touchdown for Iowa State. While Iowa's touchdown, they got the ball, drove down the field, was about to kick a field goal due to a sack on third down, but there was a defensive holding called. Penalties kind of helped them out, and they scored a touchdown with Mark Gronowski on the ground. Not tying it, but the game was 13-10. Both teams only scored a field goal in the second half. Defense has really stepped up. But what helped Iowa State was late game. They killed 6 minutes and 29 seconds to kick the go-ahead field goal from 54 yards out. And then right after that, they sacked Iowa on 2 plays out of the 4-play series for Iowa to try to tie or take the lead. They sacked them on second and third down, and Gronowski threw the ball on fourth down incomplete, taking over the game, and Iowa State just dominated. Both defenses came to play. I don't know why I didn't play the under in that game. I immediately thought to take the under. I only just played Iowa State money line and Iowa plus 3.5, which both hit. But the under was just so – that's a game where you kind of like take the under no matter what. But like I said, defenses came to play. Rocco Beck and Iowa State just made the plays. Carson Hansen made plays down the stretch to win the game. Again, Iowa's Mark Gronowski. I need to see more as a passer from him. Not great. Excuse me. He's a good QB. He's like an Iowa guy to me. Like he can run the ball, but passing still needs to be polished. But great win for Iowa State in the Cyhawk game. Improved to 3-0. Got some comments real quick. My boy Luke on Twitter. Spartan Dogs for life. Yes, sir. Definitely got the dub last night. We're gonna be talking about that in a minute. Shout out my boy Joe with the 5 emojis, and shout out my boy Chris. Big flock. Let's go. CTC is here. Yes, sir. We got a couple more games to talk about before we talk about some games to mention and before we talk about some major performances. The next game I want to talk to y'all. This game ended up being a banger, man. University of Virginia 31, North Carolina State 35. North Carolina State, it looked ugly early. Both teams came out on fire. Both teams scored 2 touchdowns in their opening 2 drives, 14-14. But UVA ended up scoring 10 points after that, while North Carolina State, they kind of like stalled out. They frazzled, couldn't get any more scores. Virginia was up 24-14. North Carolina State defense looked like they could not get a stop. Every third down, it just seemed like Virginia was able to pick it up. Could not stop the Virginia offense. Chandler Morris was doing a great job making every right decision. These NC State DBs were playing off, so they were just taking what the defense give them. And it just looked like Virginia was poised to basically, to me, upset NC State on the road. But NC State defense giving up 24 points in the first half, gave up only 7 in the second half, including a game-sealing interception from Sion Salone, defensive end, made the play in the end zone. Man, that drive, Virginia drove down the field super fast. I mean, it was like this. They just instantly went down the field. I'm like, oh, man. Chandler Morrison about to game them, and C.J. Bailey just going to have to make a play to either get in the field goal range or to win it. But like I said, Sloan caught the game-winning interception in the back of the end zone. They were able to nail the clock out. But I do want to shout out NC State defense for turning it around in the second half. Like I said, only giving up 7 points, allowing NC State to score, I believe, 25 points in the second half? No, not 25. It was 14-24. They ended up with 35. So 21 points in the second half. They won the second half 21-7. Ultimately came away with the dub. Plus, I got UVA minus 6.5, under 6.5 wins on the season. So that was a huge one. I needed that win for my parlay. But shout out to NC State now 2-0. Almost. They could literally be 0-2. They are a couple plays away from being 0-2. ECU almost came back to tie it last week, and Virginia was in the red zone to win it this week. But they dug deep, found wins to win. Shout out to the Wolf Pack. Shout out my boy Chris. He said the best games are when 2 big teams go at it. Hey, man, Virginia, I will say Virginia is better than I thought they would be this year. Now, running the ball, Jamari Taylor last night or yesterday, boy, he was tough to bring down. They could not tackle Jamari Taylor yesterday. Next notable game I wanted to talk about was Kansas 31 at Mizzou 42. I just realized I did talk about Virginia and NC State yesterday. I picked NC State to win on my pod yesterday in the morning. Yep, I sure did. Next we have, like I said, Kansas and Mizzou. I did pick Mizzou to win this game. They won 42-31. Kansas jumped out early. After Mizzou scored first to go up 6-0, Kansas would then go on to score 21 unanswered points, including a scooping score to go up 14-6. And it was looking tough for Mizzou, but Mizzou battled back to tie the game 21-21 at halftime. Mizzou almost went crazy. They caught a deep ball with like 3 seconds left. They were like maybe 2 yards away from the end zone. And they came out at first like they was about to go for it. And I was like, y'all tripping. Take these 3 points and just be happy y'all tied at halftime. But I think Kansas called the timeout to get situated, and they came back out and kicked the field goal, which was smart. Tied the game at 21-21. And then the Mizzou defense stepped up in the second half. Granted, there was some plays left out on the field, not by Jalen Daniels, but by his receivers. They won the second half 21-10. So they put up 21 the first, 21 the second. Kansas put up only 10 points in the second half. And Mizzou was ultimately coming away with the dub. Bo Pribula had a phenomenal game. I mean, phenomenal game. Definitely had a phenomenal game. Missouri as a whole offensively had a good game. I think Kansas in this game showed that they're a pretty good team who's pretty explosive on offense. Their team, you can't just sneeze at. They replaced a lot. They lost a lot last year. They lost their 3 receivers. They lost their tight end. They lost 1 running back. They lost both their corners. They lost a safety. They lost a lot last year. But they showed that they actually reloaded pretty well, and they're a tough team. They're a team that you, like I said, you can't overlook. But Mizzou caught a pick late and won the game. Mizzou, 3 of their 5 drives in the second half were touchdowns, so that's cool. And they caught the pick to win it, that play by Jalen Daniels, I mean, he just threw it up. And the DB, I don't know if he was trying to throw it away, and the DB just miraculously came away with the pick. They caught it incomplete at first, but looked it over, and it was incomplete. But shout out to Mizzou. That's a big win at home against Kansas. I got Ole Miss, 20th ranked Ole Miss, 30 at Kentucky, 23. But before I do that, he's talking about Jamari Taylor. He said boy was running like they owed him something. Exactly. Like he was bringing tackles, third down. They just could not bring him down. And then my brother said Mizzou almost had me break my phone. Yeah, thank God they came back and won that. Like I said, Ole Miss 30, Kentucky 23. Now, the way Ole Miss came out, I said, oh, man, this is last year all over again. Came out, missed a field goal, then threw back-to-back interceptions. I said, and then Kentucky went up 10-0. I said, no way. Kentucky, really, they kryptonite like this. But Ole Miss was able to battle back. They went up 14-10, ended at halftime up 17-13, and after that, it was over. It just seemed like, honestly, once Ole Miss took the lead, they kind of seized the game. Now I know Kentucky tied it at 2020, and I, as a guy watching when Kentucky tied it, I kind of didn't really get unfazed from that. I seen the tie. I said, Ole Miss really been in control of this game since the start of since the mistakes in the start of the game. And what did Ole Miss do? Go down, score 27-20, get a stop, go down, kick a field goal 30-20. Kentucky kicks a field goal late to try to have a chance for an onside kick, but Ole Miss recovers and wins the game 30-23. Ole Miss scored 17 points in the second quarter alone. Most of Ole Miss production came in the second and third quarters, so the middle quarters. They scored 17 in the second. They scored 10 in the third. They did score their last 3 in the fourth late in the game to go up 2 scores. But most of their production came in the second and third quarters. Kentucky's second half went like this: punt, touchdown to tie, punt, turnover on downs, and a field goal to make it a 7-point game. Ole Miss absolutely did a great job defensively in the second half and ultimately came away with the dub, avoiding the upset and getting a little bit of revenge for last season. But shout out to the Running Rebels avoiding the upset. Next game I want to talk about. This rivalry is so good, man. G.J. Kine has revamped this rivalry. The head coach of Texas State. I did pick UTSA to win this game, but Texas State ended up being UTSA 43-36, and this was a great game. This was a game where I figured a lot of people probably wouldn't watch. I talked about it on my show, but this is probably one of the best games of the night yesterday. It was slow. It started off slow. Texas State broke the scoring with a safety. Then they scored a touchdown to go up 9-0, but UTSA would battle back, and to start the third quarter, they would actually take the lead 21-19. But Texas State scored on 6 straight drives. They scored 6 straight to take the lead. It looked like defensively there wasn't going to be nothing after starting off really good the first quarter with defense. Now, this is what hurt UTSA. When the defense finally stepped up, UTSA last 3 drives were a turnover on downs, a punt, and a turnover on downs. You can't have that when your defense has been scored on for 6 straight drives. They give you 3 opportunities to tie, and you come up with nothing at home. That just can't happen for Old McCowan and the Roadrunners. Jeff Traylor's going to figure it out. I believe in Coach Jeff Traylor. He'll be fine with UTSA. This is just a big win for J.G. Kine and the Texas State Bobcats. The first time they've beaten UTSA in this rivalry on the road in UTSA at the Alamo Dome. But just a great game. Both Sparks had a phenomenal game, and shout out Brad Jackson. No idea who this kid was to start the year, and I'm a fan now. He's explosive as a runner. He can make the throws, and he's tough to bring down. He's like squaring me. Like, he's tough to bring down. So I will be watching more Texas State. Texas State actually plays Arizona State next week. I will be talking about that game. I'm interested to see what he does against that defense. I'm interested to see what Texas State defense does against Arizona State's offense. Because Texas State defense, you might say, UTSA scored 36. They made plays at the right time. It's just UTSA offense is tough to stop. Including with Robert Henry at running back, Devin McCune, David Amador, Dan Dishman at tight end. It's a tough offense to stop. But Texas State played a great game. And that was a great win for G.J. Kine. And they looking like they're a team that could compete for the Sun Belt title this season. Next is the final game. No, 2 more games I want to talk about. One more game. The one game I want to talk about is West Virginia 10, Ohio Bobcats 17. I told y'all the Bobcats of Ohio were going to win that game at home. The Bobcats have a Parker Navarro. Parker Navarro is better than the quarterback, Nico Merchel or Henderson, to me, at West Virginia. And I put my faith in Parker Navarro, man. The kid's a stud. And now, granted, that game showed a tale of 2 Parker Navarros. First half, he looked phenomenal. Looked like he was unstoppable. Second half, he threw 3 interceptions. I can't lie. That was terrible. But ended the game late. He made the plays that needed to be made to run the clock out. He ultimately had a great game. But I want to shout out the Ohio defense. It is tough to hold a team to 10 points while they have 3 turnovers. That is tough to do. And the Ohio defense held West Virginia to 10 points while West Virginia defense forced 3 interceptions. Great job. Can't speak about it enough. Of a great job the Ohio defense did yesterday at Ohio. ultimately came down to the run game, and Jaheim White also got hurt in that game. I don't think Jaheim White came back in that game either, but I think that was a big difference in the game too. But ultimately, that Ohio defense did a phenomenal job. West Virginia on third downs was 2 of 13. That is, I want to do the math on my phone. That's not one of them things I can just do a fraction like off the top of my head. They were 15% on third down. That's crazy. So that's a great job by them. And the Ohio defense gave up 1 touchdown in the first half and a field goal in the second half. You can't ask for a better defensive player than that against a powerful Big 12 school. So, again, shout out to Ohio. Huge win. Ohio moves to 1-1. Almost as 2-0. They felt like, they talked about it a lot during the broadcast. They felt like they could have beat Rutgers. I felt like they could have beat Rutgers. They felt like they beat themselves in that Rutgers game. I would say no. Rutgers just did a great job running the ball, and when the time came, y'all couldn't stop the run. That's literally how they got down the field and the pass to end strong. So I'm not going to go that far, but Ohio looks like a team that could repeat in the MAC for the first time in a long while. So I'm interested to look at them as well. In the last game I want to talk about, I got to talk about them MSU boys. Michigan State gets the double overtime win against Boston College, 42-40. It didn't look great. It looked ugly. Defense looked bad. Second half, however, it did look better. First half, beyond a fumble, which, honestly, all right, so I'll say this. First half, they came out, got to stop. Forgot. Amari Kelly fumbled. We got the fumble because they looked like they was about to go in, but we knocked the ball out. Thank God we got that fumble. And I think we were able to turn it into points. But they scored 21 points in the first half. And they looked kind of unstoppable. And this is what was killing me the most. The back kept leaking out the backfield, and it just felt like nobody was responsible for him. And then once we got responsibility on the running back out the backfield, somebody's open in the back of the end zone. It's like, I know we got iPads and stuff. I just need us to make the proper adjustments. And it looked like we did in the second half. Second half, we gave up 6 points. We gave up 2 field goals. 1 field goal early in the second half, I think in the third. And then we gave up a field goal to force the overtime. And they kicked the field goal to force the overtime. Another thing that really hurt us, that first half, we get off the field. Jordan Hall blows up Dylan Longren for no reason. It was absolutely boneheaded. Blew him up. And that kept that drive alive. So we just made boneheaded mistakes defensively. Then in overtime, they just gave up touchdowns. Like, it looked like the defense just didn't exist no more. They just gave up touchdowns easily. Those 2 touchdowns Boston College scored in overtime were easy. But I want to say Jordan Hall, I think, made the play in double overtime to stop the 2-point conversion. So he literally wrote his wrongs. If I remember correctly, that was him that made the play. So he wrote all his wrongs. Game on the line, made the play. So I have to, when I criticize you, I gotta big up you if you do something big. And that was huge if that was him, if I remember correctly. So that was huge. And then we got the ball, drove right down the field. Great throwback play on a 2-point conversion. And we win the game in a double overtime. And we were 2-0 going against Youngstown State next week. And then shout out to Teddy. We see y'all week 4. So I'm excited for that game. Can't wait for it. We move on to the second and last segment. It's just games I want to mention. So these are games that I thought were really good, but I can't talk in depth about like every game. So some games I just want to bring up real quick. UConn almost upset Syracuse. Syracuse rallies back in the fourth quarter to force overtime and beat UConn 27-20. Now, a funny side note, I saw Fran Brown had Syracuse run sprints after the game for their performance against UConn. And this is why I love Fran Brown, man. I love Fran Brown. I hope him much success. That was funny. I don't think I've ever seen that before. But UConn, Skylar Bell, got to talk about him real quick. Skylar Bell, before forcing overtime, on 4th and 10, go look up that catch he made. One-handed, double covered, ball like this. He made all the plays driving down the field to force that overtime. Skylar Bell is a monster. Had a major impact in that game. The next game I want to talk about, Fresno State upsetting Oregon State. Like I said on the channel yesterday, I knew Mountain West team coming into Oregon State just like last year. Nevada coming into Oregon State. Upset was a Bruin. Now Oregon State, Malik Murphy was killing them going to Taz Hendricks. The run game was doing damage, but Fresno State did an excellent job of bouncing back, making drives, forcing turnovers. I either pick six to seal the game. They did a great job on the ground, like I figured they would. I figured Oregon State would be susceptible to the run, just like Fresno State would be susceptible to the run, and ultimately found a way to get the dub. EJ Warner made plays with his legs to go down and to kick the field goal to go up 2. And like I said, the pick six puts the game away. Next game. Now, I didn't watch this one, but I wanted to bring it up. Army beats Kansas State 24-21, and that devastated me. Kansas State was my pick to win the Big 12, and they are playing absolutely terrible right now. And I talked about it. I talked about how I saw somebody asking how is Kansas State not ranked. They're 1-1 losing to Iowa State. And I said, bruh, y'all played with too much fire against North Dakota, and they played with fire against Army, and they got burned. This is why you're not ranked. You're not good right now. And you got burned, like I said. Couldn't complete the comeback. You couldn't hold on to the lead, first of all. Then once you lost the lead, you couldn't come back to take the lead. And now you're 1-2. So, granted, thankfully for my Big 12 prediction, they're 1-2, but they're 0-1 in Big 12. So they can bounce back Big 12, have a great Big 12 record, and find their way into the championship game. But they're going to need a serious talking. They're going to have to look within themselves and figure this out, because right now, they're playing with their season, and it's looking like it's going down the drain. Next, Tulane. They escaped South Alabama. They went down early. I want to say they went down 14-0 early, climbed back in. It goes up 33-25. Give up a late game touchdown, but stops a 2-point conversion to win the game. Ultimately going 2-0, going against Duke next week. That's a fun game. Darian Mensah. I want to say Darian Mensah is back in New Orleans to face Tulane, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But that's a game I'm definitely talking about. That's a game that's going to be fun to watch. Speaking of Duke, I'm not talking about that game. They absolutely got blown out. Shout out to me for picking Illinois. Next, Vanderbilt over Virginia Tech to win the home and home at 2-0. They won at Vandy, won at Virginia Tech, blew them boys out. Started off slow. Virginia Tech was up multiple scores. Came back, shut out Virginia Tech in the second half to win the game. Shout out to Diego Pavia and the boys. Now 2-0. They play South Carolina. They play my South Carolina boys next week in Columbia. So interesting matchup there. And the last game I want to talk about before we get to amazing performers, the upset I called at home. I called this in the preseason. I called it yesterday. UNLV beats UCLA 30-23. And I'm sorry. Nico Iamaleava throws a pick on the game tying drive. I keep telling, I don't think he's the goods. I'm sorry. His decision making to me is not good. He's more of a runner than a passer, in my opinion. He's not that good of a quarterback to me. And to be honest, it looks like UCLA lost the quote-unquote trade. I don't see what people see in this guy. I just don't. I mean, he has chances to prove me wrong. I hope he proves me wrong, but he's not doing it so far. Anthony Calandria, 3 touchdowns on the day, no turnovers. Oh, my God, my man Calandria went no turnovers. And they get the dub over UCLA. Shout out to UNLV now 3-0, my Mountain West Conference champion. No Mountain West Conference wins yet, but hey, man, this is a good start. This is the start I predicted for UNLV. Now, UCLA is 0-2. Deshaun Foster has to figure it out. I had him going 5-7, now going 4-8 because I had him losing to Utah. I had him beating Utah, losing to UNLV, but he's going to have to definitely figure this out. A lot of people are probably going to be calling for his job if he has a bad season with Nico at quarterback. So they definitely got to figure it out. And we're going to move on to the last segment of the day. It is our major performances. I have about 24, 25 players I want to shout out on this segment today. Actually, I forgot to write down Skylar Bell. Let's write down Skylar Bell. I don't even care if Skylar Bell's yardage was low. Skylar Bell deserves a major performance for what he did to put UConn in the in overtime. Just a phenomenal game by him. As my phone is freezing, I don't know why it's doing this. But we're just gonna start with Skylar Bell, so I don't have to write it down. Let's see who's looking for this game. Also, let me cue up this sound effect. Let's see. Let's cue the sound effect up right here. All right, so we're going to start with Skylar. No touchdowns. Next, we want to start with 445, 390 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Hank Beatty, wide receiver, Illinois, 8 catches, 128 yards. Brennan Thompson, wide receiver, Mississippi State, 6 catches, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns. John Mateer, quarterback, Oklahoma, 21 to 34, 270 yards, a touchdown, an interception, 74 rushing yards, and 2 rushing touchdowns, so 3 total touchdowns on the day. Sawyer Robertson, quarterback, Baylor, 34-50, 440 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Deion Burks, wide receiver, Oklahoma, 7 catches, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Cameron, wide receiver of Baylor, 9 catches, 151 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Ashton Hawkins, wide receiver for Baylor, 10 catches, 145 yards. TJ Harden, running back for SMU, 19 carries, 115 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Romello Brunson, wide receiver, SMU, 4 catches, 126 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Trey Wallace, wide receiver, Ole Miss, 4 catches, 117 yards. Jamari Taylor, running back, Virginia, 17 carries, 150 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Hollywood Smothers, running back, NC State, 17 carries, 140 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Bo Pribula, quarterback, Missouri, 30 of 39, 334 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Only 9 completions on 39 balls. That is crazy. Jamal Roberts, running back, Mizzou, 13 carries, 143 yards, and a touchdown. Kevin Coleman, 10 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. Wide receiver from Mizzou. Taz Reddick, wide receiver, Oregon State, 11 catches for 158 yards. Bo Sparks, wide receiver, Texas State, 5 catches, 155 yards, and a touchdown. Robert Henry Jr., running back, UTSA, 17 carries, 155 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 catches, 21 yards, and another touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns for Robert Henry Jr. Chase Hendricks, wide receiver, Ohio, 8 catches for 121 yards and a touchdown. Chip Trainium, running back, Toledo, 14 carries, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 catches of 13 yards, and a touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns for the running back of Toledo. Junior Vandeross, wide receiver for Toledo, 5 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown. And lastly, Devin Viazin, wide receiver for South Alabama, 8 catches, 152 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the day. Now, before I wrap up CTC, I do want to explain my record real quick. So week 0, I did go 2-2. Week 1, I went 12-6. And as you can see, 2-2. Then I was 14. Yeah, so I went 12-6 because that would let me at 14-8. And then as you can see, week 2, I went 11-3. Now, here's the games that I chose from. I picked them. So Illinois at Duke, I did pick Illinois to win. Iowa at Iowa State, I picked Iowa State to win. Baylor at SMU, I lost that one. I picked SMU to win. They should have brought it home. They did not. Virginia at NC State, I picked NC State to win, and they won. Ole Miss, Kentucky, I picked Ole Miss to win, and they won. Kansas, Mizzou, I picked Mizzou, and they won. Fresno State, Oregon State, I picked Fresno State as road dogs, and they won outright. Texas State, UTSA, I picked UTSA. Texas State won outright as road dogs. West Virginia at Ohio, I picked Ohio as home dogs, and they won outright. Western Kentucky, Toledo, I did pick Western Kentucky as road dogs, and they lost to Toledo badly, got blown out. Michigan, Oklahoma, I picked Oklahoma to win, and they won. Boston College, Michigan State, I picked Michigan State, and they won. Vandy, Virginia Tech, I picked Vandy as road dogs, and they won. And UCLA, UNLV, I picked UNLV as home dogs, and they won. So I went 11-3. 4 underdogs won the game. So pretty good week if you ask me. Got a question. What you think about Mississippi State beating Tennessee? I don't want to overreact about the Mississippi State win. It was a great win. They beat Southern Miss as well. Tennessee has been putting up a major amount of points, but they haven't been against the greatest competitions. I would like to see more of both teams before I answer that question, to be completely honest with you. Mainly more so on Tennessee side, because Joey Aguilar is new. Star Thomas is new. They lost Dylan Sampson, excuse me. They lost Squirrel White. They lost Brew McCoy. They lost Deontay Thornton. So I want to see them play against some competition before I give an answer on that. Now, if they play week 3, because I really haven't looked at the week 3 schedule, I'm gonna have to just do some soul searching and some thinking about that. But shout out to Tutio Parker for that question. Appreciate you watching. Appreciate you asking the question. Let's see. Do they play next week? Let's see. No, they don't play next week. Do you know what week they play? Oh yeah, for sure. The Cowboys at Mississippi State. That is, that is a tough environment to play. It was rocking last night against Arizona State. It was definitely rocking. Shout out Jeff Lebby for that win. But when do they? Let's look and see when they play Tennessee. Because in the preseason, I had Mississippi State basically going winless in the SEC. But I did like what I saw from Mississippi State yesterday. I can't lie. Arizona State is a great team, and that was a great win. All right, you know what? You asked the question. I'm gonna give you an answer on the fly. Could they beat Tennessee? I'm gonna say there's a 10% chance they beat Tennessee because they're at home. Now, if they were on the road, they was in Tennessee, there's a Rocky Top, I would say no. But from what I saw yesterday, I would say 10% chance. 10% chance. Shout out to you for being at the game, man. Hey, shout out to you. If you're a student there, hey, congrats. Good luck on the semester. I definitely been there, but I know it was electric. I hope you had fun. I know you had fun, so shout out to you, and I appreciate you for watching. But I'm gonna say 10% chance, man. I like what I saw, but Tennessee could put up points. I'm like I said, I'm giving y'all that 10% chance because at home, and anything can happen in college football and environments. Those are more environmentally affected games. But we'll see as the season progresses because, like I said, I want to see Tennessee against some competition. I'm not expecting Tennessee to put up 70 points every week. But if they could put up points in bunches every week against better competition, I don't know. Because Arizona State was able to figure out in the second half and basically shut y'all out into that busted coverage. So y'all going to have to put together a game for 4 quarters. But I did like what I saw yesterday from y'all. So shout out to you for that. And if you haven't subscribed, I appreciate you. I would like for you to subscribe so you can catch more of the lives. But that's all I got for y'all today. Shout out to Tutio Parker again, like I said, man. I hope that answers your question. I give y'all a 10% chance, man, as of now. But y'all enjoy NFL Sunday, man. NFL Sunday is in about 30 minutes. I hope y'all enjoy. My Ravens play Sunday Night Football against the Bills. I think we're going to blow them out, to be honest with y'all. But that's all I got for y'all today. I will be back to talk about week 3. I can tell y'all right now, I'm not talking about this NC State Wake Forest game. If it's a good game, it just happened to be a good game. I'm not talking about it. I'll probably be back Thursday to talk about Friday. 1 game on Friday, maybe 2 games on Friday, and then the Saturday slate. Enjoy y'all NFL Sunday, but I'm gone. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.